Are you ready to really learn what it's actually like to manage your client's calendar and to protect their time? In this series, I'm walking you step by step through the process of becoming a really good second-rate executive assistant for your client. And in the last video, I covered the core responsibilities of an executive assistant, where your main priorities should be guarding their time, their attention, and their outcomes. And for this part, we're going to go over how to guard your client's time through calendar management. Now, when you think calendar management, it could just be like booking your client's calendar, checking to make sure that there's no things that are doubling up, or making sure that if your client is about to go on vacation, it might be moving things. But when you're an executive assistant, when you switch from the task-based thinking of I'm just managing someone's calendar to output-based thinking of I'm making sure that I'm guarding my client's time, it is a little bit of a switch over. Now, the first step that you want to do before you even open any of the tools that your client may be using Calendly, Google Calendar, whatever, the first thing you want to do is to understand your client's world. And what that means is observing a little bit. You want to learn what their typical week looks like right now. It's not creating a new system right away. You want to first observe what times do they actually wake up? What times do they actually start to work? Do they go to the gym first? Do they grab lunch somewhere where they have to physically go there? You want to look at what are the recurring meetings that they currently have on their calendar. So going through maybe client meetings, team meetings, maybe there's every quarter there's a meeting with their accountant, whatever it is, the first thing that you want to do is map out a snapshot basically of what your client's life essentially looks like as of the moment that you start working with them. This way you have one, a baseline on how you can help improve that calendar life cycle that they have. And then two, it also gives you information of your own client's priorities. Because then, as you observe, the next is asking clients a bunch of questions about what their current priorities are. Is it actually health? Is it actually consistently showing up at the gym? Is it family time? Is it being able to just have time off where they're not doing anything for a certain amount of time so they can focus in? It's asking them, what are your top priorities for this quarter business-wise? And what are your top priorities for this quarter personal-wise? That way, as you are the one managing and guarding their time, you're making sure that everything that's on their calendar is actually aligned to the goals that they've set themselves. Next is asking them, what days are you the sharpest? So for us, when we're onboarding our clients, this is a question that we actually ask them, is like, what are the times that you like to start working and which ones are you the most productive? That way, for the executive assistant, as they're guarding the time, for you, as you're guarding your client's time, you are making sure that if there are key meetings, that you do it during the time where they are the most productive, or it could be the other way around, where your client doesn't want you to touch their productive time in the morning at all and schedule all of the meetings in the afternoon. If you skip this part of the process where you don't observe your client's day or you don't ask them what their priorities are, you're mostly just going to be ticking off boxes but not actually making some sort of impact towards your client's day. Next is building the ideal week skeleton with your client. And it's basically gathering the information you've gotten from just observing and also what your client wants. And then actually building out what would they want their week to look like. For me, I personally like having a pattern throughout my week. And it's basically now at this point that I'll share my calendar to walk you guys through how to build that out. So essentially here, now that you've been able to gather information about your client, what they like, what their preferences are, their priorities, you can then start going into the calendar, and basically you can even create a separate calendar for them. You can go ahead and click other calendars. You can create new calendar, and this is just, you can call this ideal week. And this is a little bit just for you, but also a little bit just to have something you can show your client. So calendar is now created. I'll go back. So now we have an ideal week, and that'll be the focus on what we'll create. And essentially now you can map out how you want your client's week to look like based again on information. So for example, for my own assistant, if she's the one doing this for me, she knows that Mondays are usually my admin days. So this will now be themed as an admin day. And ideally, you would want to put that on free. You don't want to block it out of your client's calendar. You have an admin day on Mondays. Tuesdays are typically focus time on projects. And then on Wednesdays is usually a content day. That's why I'm creating this video on a content day. And then Thursday is typically a strategy day. And then Fridays are usually a catch-up day. So what that means is that's usually the day that I'm catching up with everyone else in my team. So now that you've mapped out their week, what would the ideal day actually look like? So for example, again, between me and my assistant, she knows that my 9 o'clock to 11 until I sync up with her are going to be my focus time. So that's me creating YouTube content, or that could be me creating my daily series on TikTok on different ways you can use AI assistants. And by the way, before I skip this part, that's why I do have this set up, is depending on your client's time, you can set up 2 different time zones on a Google Calendar. Basically, we'll just go to settings. And here you can set up like the different time zones. You can display a secondary time zone. So then it's easy for you to know your client's time and how it affects essentially how you see your time. So we're going to check that out for now because we're just, of course, looking at the Philippines. And to go back, then you're mapping out what is your client's ideal day looks like. So for example, for me and my assistant, she makes sure that everything after 10 p.m. all the way to 7 a.m. is nothing because I would ideally be sleeping. So I'll be putting sleep on there and actually blocking that out on the calendar. And the reason why you want to block it out of the calendar is, one, it makes it easier for the scheduler, whatever scheduler your client is using. It makes it easier for it to be able to make sure that doesn't get booked on, just in case that there's some sort of faulty. And also make sure that for you, as you're doing this and mapping this out with your client, that anything that they definitely don't want you to touch is there. So we put in sleep on there. You can go ahead and edit the event. You can go ahead and add does repeat daily because your client is probably sleeping daily, hopefully. And then mapping out meal times. That's another one. Is, for example, for me, I typically eat like at 12 noon, just like most people. So then I put lunch. And then you can click on repeats. You can just put this maybe just every weekday, just blocking that out. Then it maps it out. And then, for example, like I said earlier, usually 9 to 11 is my focus time. So this one, you do want to make sure you put busy on there. That way, again, if your client's using a scheduler, it makes it easier for the scheduler to skip that. Again, we put that every weekday, Monday to Friday. And then anything else that you know your client prioritizes. So for example, for me, 5 o'clock to 7 is usually like a workout time, put in time to go to actual gym. And this one, I only do really like 5 times a week, like intense workouts. So then you can go here, you can then repeat every week. And then it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, done, save. And then now it maps out ongoing as well. So you can add more things on here that make sense for your client, but then you now have a good skeleton of how they want their day to actually look like. You can also use the time to add in any recurring or set calls that your client might have with anyone else. This basically just makes it a little bit easier. Next is managing your client's scheduling rules, basically. Now that you have, again, observed their time, what is important to them, setting up their ideal week and their ideal day, then when it comes to the booking, because you definitely don't want to be the one to be the bottleneck to respond to people of like, oh, I want to book like 3 p.m. and they have to wait for you basically to tell them that, oh yeah, the client is free at 3 p.m. Then for you, you're making sure that there's a good automation for you to be able to handle things like that. So for this one, we're just going to be using straight up Google Calendars booking. Your client might be using Equity, they might be using Calendly. To then there's so many other things afterwards. But for this, we'll just keep it super simple just by using Google Calendars booking. So to show you real quick how to be able to set up their booking page, here you can just go ahead and click booking pages. Then you're going ahead here and you can say bookable appointment schedule. So this would be client calls, this could be team calls, whatever that is. So let's say this is for like team calls. Appointment duration, you can set that up depending on your client's preferences, which is why you ask them always. And then what are the times that your client is okay to have those calls? And then scheduling window is an important thing of like you learning what are the minimums for your client. Like how many hours ahead do they want to know if there's going to be a call booked all of a sudden? So for me, I always require at least 24 hours because I don't like it where at the start of my day, I already mapped out how I want my day to look like. And it's basically getting bamboozled by a meeting that I didn't know was coming. So for me, I put in 24 hours. So again, depending on your client, you want to make sure that that's put on there. You can set up basically how many days ahead someone can book a call. Again, for me, I like 30 days because I don't want it to it takes me 2 months or I'm waiting on a call for 2 months before it actually happens. You can, depending on the kind of call, you can adjust the availability. So if, let's say, your client only wants, or for example, for me, I only want to do team meetings on Fridays because that's the time that I can have on team mode. So all of the meetings are just going to be on Friday. So you can change the dates availability, and it'll just like say only on Fridays. And then you can also set up like how many buffer time you would need per meeting. So for me, I do like an hour buffer time before and after. That way my brain is able to like just chill out before the next one. And then you can also set maximum bookings per day. So for example, for my podcast, I only will allow like one booking a day for that podcast. That way I'm not like back to back doing podcast interviews. And then guests can invite others. That depends. So that's basically the first part of setting up your now calendar management systems with your client. Is first is setting up a booking call. That way you have a quick and easy way to just send a link to someone. Basically, when you click next and save this, it'll then create the link. But of course, you can add more like the description, location conferencing, if you're going to be using like Zoom, having like a persistent link on here, whatever that looks like, is setting that up. We can hit save. And once that's now done, then there is a copy link that you can then send again to anyone who might be trying to book a call with your client. As you finish going through that, you've basically essentially created the systems for you to be able to manage and handle your client's time. You already know what times that allow for a call to be scheduled. You'll know their preferences when it comes to the length of a meeting. You'll know what are their recurring meetings that always need to be persistently on the calendar no matter what. And also, this is how you turn the calendar from just like a list of events to now a intentional way of, again, guarding your client's time. Next is creating your routines and actually doing this to yourself as well. It's things like basically setting up when you would check the calendar periodically, when you would double check for confirming locations, links, making sure that if you are meeting on Zoom that there's no Google link in there for someone to mistakenly click on, and then getting to the point where you're starting to know your client's calendar enough that if there are things that pop up, for example, if your client is going to be traveling somewhere or attending an event where they're not going to be available at all, that you are able to really handle moving things around as they come up. So as a perfect example, in a month, I'm going to be traveling somewhere, and I'm basically going to be traveling for most of that day. So I'm not going to be available at all. So what that looks like on my assistant point of view is, as she already booked my travel, is she makes sure that the travel times that I'm going to be on a flight, not going to be available, is just blocked out of my day. She also knows that because she's worked with me for long enough and she asks really good questions, that if I am traveling, usually for most of that day, I'm not going to be available at all because I'll just be a little bit of travel brain soup. So for her, she knows to guard my time and also then guarding my communications. So then she responds to things when I can't respond to them on that day. And basically this way, as you're building up your own systems on how to be able to set your routine, so then for you and your client, you have a good enough buffer time to be able to give them notice if there are changes, if people canceled, if people move, or if they need you to move things. There's enough of a buffer time that it doesn't feel like you're scrambling to make changes. Next is then just communicating and bridging this with your client and then actually building out your system. So this is more of, now that this is set, communicating out with your client, getting them aligned to it, seeing and testing essentially how that week goes, how the next week goes, how the next month goes, and then you starting to document what those look like, of like, what's your process when it comes to having your client be booked on podcasts? Like, how do you check their calendar to make sure that it actually aligns for that day where you know that they'll have a lot of energy? If you are going to be booking your clients on events, you're essentially, creating a little bit of a decision log of like, what are your clients' preferences when it comes to you guarding their time, so it's easier for you to make those decisions moving forward. And then you have an SOP, your standard operating procedure, your checklist to double, triple check things as you go along. So again, same thing of like, you have a checklist of how to book a call. If let's say your client says like, oh, this person's really important, if they can't find anything on my calendar, just give them one of my slots basically that I have blocked off and just have them book. So you're the one now coordinating between that person and your client's calendar to make sure that there is a good sync time for them. You basically have an SOP they can follow. And again, your standard operating procedures are there. So then whether you are on the highest peak of like, you just got this, or you're in the lowest where you get sick, everything loud and everything else, which does happen, you have at least a fallback of like, this is my process, this has worked before, and I know I can trust this process as I go through it, even when I feel like I'm at my worst. And a key thing is to make sure that you ask for your clients' feedback as you guys are going along. This could be something that's reflected on a monthly review, as my assistant and I do, where we just go through like, oh, I felt this way when it came to the calendar side, or hey, I really like a little bit of even just 30-minute buffer in between 3 back-to-back meetings. So then for her, she's logging all of this, she's keeping in mind all of this, and it gives her kind of that, again, that confidence that if I am out, if I am not there to help kind of make decisions, she can make those decisions herself as well. And that is essentially it on building a really good calendar management system between you and your client that would actually work. That's not you just managing a calendar, it's you guarding their time and making sure that they're always aligned to what they said are their priorities and their goals, and still keeping it flexible for things in life as it does pop up. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below any questions or anything you guys want me to expand when it comes to calendar management. I would love to know and give a little bit of better clarity. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday on how to grow your career, especially with AI. And if you are a business owner and you want to learn a little bit more, I do have a second channel right here, and you can check out the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and with that, small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!